listen to Patricia, who has a presentation she's going to share with us. And then we have a structure that we propose for you to go into subgroups, small groups, and to have a discussion and bring your own experiences about this topic of empathy. And then we'll come back in the plenary. We don't want to put any pressure on anyone. We're already under a lot of pressure these days. So we want this to be also a relaxed moment for everyone. And really focusing on this question of well-being and support. So empathy is here for us to bring our attention and intention back to each other as humans. I think that was, for me, the essence of the choice of this topic. And we're ready now to go into this learning meeting with Patricia. Should I say something else? I'm looking at the team right now before we give the floor to Patricia. No, it looks like I'm okay. I didn't forget anything. There's Olga waiting for us here. Let me let her in. Okay, perfect. Patricia, would you like some help in setting up?
I think it's okay. I'm going to begin to share my screen. First, thank you, Pascale, and bravo, and thank you for everybody to be here, because I feel it's very great. It's great to be with you all over the world, because it's not only Europe, but also Northern America. And so I'm going to share my screen now. I hope.
If there's something you would like to say also about yourself, feel free to do that.
I'm French. I'm a school psychologist in the pre-elementary and elementary school. I've been working in national education for 40 years now. And well, I participate in the Pascale program on the it was in 1909. And it was just like a great discovery for me. Like finding a new family, sharing ideas and sharing experiences, pedagogical experiences, but also active experiences of life. And it was just great. And so thank you to continue making these experiences even in this very strange time of isolation, or I don't know how you say in English, confinement, how do you say that? Oh, I don't hear you.
Confinement, yeah.
Confinement or staying at home.
Yeah, staying at home. Okay, so do you see my screen? Do you see the beginning of my presentation? Is it okay for you?
Yes. Yes. Before you start, I'm going to suggest that everyone turn their microphone off. That way, if you have people, since everyone is at home, there's movement and other people are in the house too, probably. So that way we can still hear Patricia. So I'm going to turn my microphone off. And Patricia, you're in presentation mode. Okay. Or you want to put yourself in presentation mode because you're not yet.
I'm not sure how to do that, presentation mode.
On your computer, c'est sur ton logiciel de... Comme d'habitude, quand tu fais une presse, tu appuies sur présenter.
Pardon.
Diaporama, voilà.
Okay. So, is it okay? Okay, let's go. So, first, of course, the definitions about empathy, so to be sure that everybody is sharing the same background of, definition. So it was created in 19th century from a German word, what means feeling from the inside. And on the very beginning, it was to be able to resonate with art pieces. And then Freud took it to expand the meaning to psychology. And it means the ability to feel someone else's emotion and to put yourself in the place of others. So in this, behind this empathy word, you can put the cognitive empathy, which is about the possibility to understand someone else's ideas, but then also the emotional empathy, which is about sharing feelings. And empathy is a part of the social skills that people develop between 4 years old and 16 years old. So you have different kind of steps to go through to develop this capacity, this ability. Some other words along empathy is altruism, which is the interest of happiness for the others, of the others, and compassion. Let's see, yeah. Compassion, which is the form the feeling takes when confronting with the suffering of others. And this compassion word is close to the ancient Greek agape, which is the love for everybody. And also you have another kind of word, which is sympathy, which means sharing each other's feelings, but especially unhappy feelings, and also with the dimension of bonding, of affective bonding, which means, if you go through this little drawings, so the first one is compassion. It means, well, I'm with you. The sympathy word is, well, I'm coming with you, or I feel the same and I'm acting with you, but without really thinking about what I'm doing right now. And empathy is, I'm going to help you to do something. It's more practical. But be careful also in the dimension of pathological empathy, which is what you can feel if you are around too many people, too many suffering people that at a moment you can't help. It's too many people, and it brings you to a feeling of empathetic distress, which is destructive. But also you see what Mother Teresa used to say, I can't help if I see all of the suffering of the world, but I can help one person individually. And so I can do my part with one and another one. And of course, if you want to get happier, helping is a good way to feel happy and useful. So of course, emotional intelligence can be educated. It's the reason why it's growing up with the age, with the development of children. So first you have to identify your own emotions and then regulate your own emotions. But then it will bring you to identify the emotions felt by the others, and then use the information to regulate the relationship and help the other to express and know about their own feelings and needs. So emotions can become a tool. I put the flower in French, but I'm sure you will be able to find this kind of flower, this emotional flower, in different languages that you use. Behind emotions, just think that you have needs. So how does it help to express such and such emotion? In fact, you have to recognize what need is behind every emotion. And you see only 30% of the population is correctly able to identify and name the emotions they are feeling. So, of course, if you are not able to name emotions, it brings you to incomprehension and irrational choices. So for the children, the more precise the words, the more they can understand emotions and the more we can deal with them. So it's the reason why it's so important that in schools we have this emotional learning. Facing a bad emotion can bring you to different kind of actions, like getting just freezed when just like you see a snake. It happened to me once, and really I couldn't move, and fortunately I couldn't move. Or you run away from the bad emotion. You can also deny it. It doesn't exist. Or you amplify it. So you on the right picture, you see what is going on if you amplify a bad emotion. So the stress is getting higher and higher. So just accept it and rationalize it. I don't know. Well, take it just like a fact. You are at the same time the person who is observing and the person who is observed. So you're just like a scientific researcher at the same time that you are the subject. Good emotions make us better persons, but at the condition that you use compassion, kindness, intelligence, self-control, and the sense of justice. It means that it's not because you feel good emotion and kindness and you want to please or to do good things that you will do such good things. You have to put some distance between the reality and the good you want to do. So same, you can see good emotions and joy and amusement and gratitude and hope, inspiration, curiosity, serenity, compassion, to be proud of something or to admire something or to love something or somebody and be joyful. But also, before taking care of the others, you have to take care of yourself. And Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a monk, a Buddhist monk, says that I know that if I don't take care of myself, I won't be able to take care of the others. And really, if there is a lesson in such a crisis, that first, take care of your good health, and then you will be able to take care of the others around you. And so to go through bad emotions, we can think about what resilience is. And I'm used to work with this basic pH model, which brings us to think about different kind of peers that we can use to go through bad emotions. And you see basic pH model, you can see the B is for beliefs and moral system, and the A is for affect, which is more or less the feelings you have among your family and the very dearest people around you. Social relationship is a little bit further than the family and the very proximate people around you. But also in this sphere of resiliency, you can find imagination, which is all the creativity that you can use to transform the bad emotions and to do something else with the events you are going through. Cognition is everything about rationality and about putting words and putting thoughts, putting reasoning on what is going on for you and around you. And then physical is what depends on your body. What do you need to do to go through a bad event? Thinking about your sleep or your fooding or exercising. And it's the reason why during this strange period we are going through, we have to take care also of our health, but physically, the physical health we need to think about and to take care of. And empathy, the capacity of empathy that we have, is also depending, of course, of the stress we are facing. So as you see on this picture, my empathy is at the maximum when I can deal with my own stress. And so at this moment, I can be very empathetic to the others. But then as the more I feel the stress, the less I'm able, of course, to be empathetic, because I first need to take care of my own feelings and my own level of stress. What is happening right now with this sanitary crisis that we are going through is that the communication about empathy, you see, is very, very important. It means that some of the people are now fighting in the hospital, but then most of the people have to stay at home. So what is to be empathetic when you just have to stay at home? And as you see on this kind of communication, it goes from feel safe to save life. And you can see how empathy is very strongly used, but also it goes from the individual awareness to a collective awareness of what we can do for the others. Of course, it's very helped right now by the global network communication and that we are using right now, tonight. Some of the studies of social psychology and comportamental psychology showed not long ago that you see on this communication, one is, it's exactly the same drawing, the same picture, but then one message is follow these steps to avoid getting the virus. And then the other is to avoid spreading the virus. And then the studies showed that the message who is protect the others is much better, not understood, but very much useful than the first one. So it means that the empathy we are feeling is very strong and very useful in such a period of time. Also, staying at home right now and feeling empathetic, it's good, but for some people and for some reasons, it's not enough. So feeling together is also make things visible. And for this reason, all around the world, I suppose, or maybe it's the only beginning of this campaign, but the Ruban Bleu campaign is beginning. It's echoing the Ruban Rouge, the red, how do you say ruban? The red, I don't know, which was concerning AIDS in the 80s and 90s years. So it's good to be able to say and to show I feel empathetic, but also I'm with you all and I do my part, I do my best, I do what I have to do in such a crisis. So what is going on for each of us in this crisis, and who do I choose to be during this crisis? So am I still in the fear zone and acting like a victim, or getting irritated easily, or getting very anxious? I remember that for myself, the 2 first days, I had to garden a lot because I had to act, because I was so scared on the very first days. And then, am I in the learning zone where I recognize what I'm doing for myself and for the others, or making a program and organizing my life in this new obligations I have to go through? Or am I now, we are beginning the 4th week in France, and in the 4th week of isolation, am I now in the growing zone? What do I do with what happens right now, what is happening right now to every people around me and for myself? What am I doing to grow from the events I'm going through? And as teachers, you see that in crisis, not only in this crisis, but in all crises you can deal with, you have to deal with, you see that all these people are concerned by the vulnerability of the crisis we are going through, and what is going on around you, and you see, and you see that some people are at the same time in the circles of vulnerability, and some people are in the same time in the circles of support. So around you, in your team, in your school team, or in your family, or around your friends, or in the classrooms, who are the people who can be supportive, who can help to go through, and to identify the people. It's very important to stay, of course, to stay in contact, to stay all together, and to talk to each other often as you can. So the studies show that long-term stress reaction can have, of course, negative changes But of course, tonight I choose to show you the positive changes after a crisis. So what is obvious is after a huge crisis, the life goals are not exactly the same anymore. And the coping strategies are increasing, and also the flexibility of these coping strategies. It means, behind this sentence, flexibility in coping strategies, if you come back to the basic PH model of resilience, it means that people are going to develop more peers of resilience than they had before. We can also see after a big stress that tolerance for personal differences are increasing, which is good for the whole society, not only for the individuals. And the spiritual dimensions is also developing. So behind the spiritual dimensions, you can find also values for the whole community, and also increasing the abilities to communicate, or to communicate on the emotional responses, and to express situational reactions are increasing also. So all of these positive changes can follow the stress reaction. But I suppose that as teachers or psychologists, we can help the people around us to lighten the positive changes more than the negative changes, and to understand wider what is going on, and from this crisis what we can let's say how do I say that? The need we have to develop a new empathic civilization. All the conditions are now putting together to think about what we are facing, and to think about what we want for the coming years, and what kind of society we want, what kind of values we want to develop. So every person, each of us, maybe has to think about what kind of part we can play in this symphony. And I like these sentences. Every morning, men and women who take care of the plot of reality entrusted to them are saving the world without knowing it. And I really, I'm really touched, because there is no small part. Every small part is a part of a smaller, a bigger world. And the second sentence, I read it a few days ago in the Financial Times, and this person was writing, our decisions over the course of the coming weeks and months will determine what the world will look like tomorrow. And we have to think about what we want altogether. And in Chinese, the word crisis is composed with two different drawings. One means danger, and second one means opportunity. And you can see in such word how the crisis is full of possibilities. So I hope everything was clear and that I was able to share my thoughts with you.
Patricia, thank you so much. I see a lot of thumbs up going. It was fabulous, really. Very rich, a lot of ideas. We're going to open the floor for comments and questions before we go into our small groups. And before I give the floor, since I have it, I'm going to use it to react to one thing that you were telling us about, is that empathy develops when we're very young. And you also were talking about Jeremy Rifkin, and in his books, Empathic Civilization, in the first pages, he tells the story that I always found very telling about empathy in very small, young children, age 1. So until about 1.5, he was telling of a child who saw another child crying in distress and wanted to help. And to help this child, he brought him to his mother, his own mother, because for him, his mom, my mommy is the only one who knows how to make me feel better when I don't feel good. And it's only later that the child will bring another child who's in distress to his or her own mother. So actually within the attention that is brought to the other and the suffering and the intention to do something about it, I think the same thing can happen in our lives when we think we're trying to help and we do something, but we're actually bringing our mom to the wrong person, you know? So I really like that story. I'm sure there are many reactions. Don't, Glyn, go ahead.
Always, you know, up a question. Thank you so much, Patricia. And you've extended my learning immediately. And I'll award you later the ruban bleu. But is it a thought that stress is not always, stress can be good, there can be good stress, and this COVID-19 might be a good stress for us to, as Rifkin suggested, return us to viewing the whole state of what form of society we want to live in?
Thank you, Glyn, for your question. In dealing with stress, you can have different level of physical reaction. It means that you can be overwhelmed. How you say that?
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, by too strong stress.
Yeah.
But then you can have also adapted reaction, and then we have also to be very careful about post-trauma reactions. It means that we have to think about what we are going to deal with going out from the isolation. For example, you are right that individually and collectively, globally, we can get some benefits from this very strange situation. For example, I called different families during the daytime, and one of the mom I had on the telephone, she said, well, everything is so great. And she was talking about a 7-year-old boy, who he has learning problems. And staying at home is very good for him because he has plenty of time, on the contrary of what is going on in the classroom. He has plenty of time. He can deal with no problem with the failure, the feeling that it's not a problem to fail. It's just you go through failing and it's not a problem. And he has all the attention of his parents. So the problem for this kind of students is going to go back to school, and the longer the isolation will stay, and the more complicated it will be. So, and this is for the students. So some of this very strange crisis, very strange situation we are dealing with is good for some people. For me, for example, I'm feeling much less stressed because I'm dealing with my own time and I can work on my own pace, and it's good for me. And I can exercise in my garden, and you know, it's just like some good things. But for some other families who are, you know, in great difficulties or going through violence or emotional reactions that they can't deal with inside of the family, it's very complicated. I'm helping right now a young mother. She's very, very well organized, but affectively on the emotional way, she cannot deal with her two young boys, and she's just going through what we call parental burnout, and it's just terrible. And speaking about the society, I think that everything will depend on now is the time of resiliency, but then we will have to deal with resistance, you say that? To resist, because all the societies are going to transform. For example, in France, we are going to, the government is right now thinking about using the personal mobile,
in identification.
Yeah. And what do we want? So right now is a specific time, but then what do we want for the next step? And all of us have to think about this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. You have brought in a lot of the issues that we want to bring up because they're issues of democracy. And as you know, learn to change that is really what we try to focus our mission on. And in what the stories you were telling, there were so many issues of democracy here for the student capacity to learn in school as well as at home, the students who are not online and not following at all. It brings a possible topic also for our next meeting would be, what do you do when everyone goes back?
Yeah.
And how do you install things that install some democratic processes in that coming back? And it's going to be a
psychologists right now are thinking about what we can share with the teachers to help them to deal with the students when they go back in the classroom. But because you just can't say, welcome, boys and girls, and just sit down and take your notebooks. It's not possible. So we have to think about what will be going on the first days, weeks, and months after coming back to school.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I'm going to give the floor now to Audrey who is going to start us on a small group journey. Audrey, if you can just tell us what we need to do and the timing for the different things, that would be fantastic. Should I share the link?
Thank you.
Just tell me when I need to share.
Yes. Do you have the link or do you? Okay, yes, so you can share the links if you want. Thank you. So now we are going to go for a small time of group discussion, which will last about 20 minutes. And we will have the opportunity to work all together and to share our different experiences around empathy. So what the team has thought is that we would be working from the Cards for Democracy, which is a tool that has been developed by Learn to Change. So you will have the opportunity to work around 2 different topics that you will discover in your groups. And we will share together, and then we come back to the plenary session to exchange on what we have said in the diverse groups. So this is a chance to have all of us time for sharing and expressing ourselves.